So you are a portrait artist. So
Mm.
tell me a little bit about how you got started doing portrait art.
Um, I've come up with this new phrase recently that drawing or like art was supposed to be my first language, you know. But I think the basis of like communication for me is visual, um, in a really like direct way. That was just when I was a kid manifested as like, hey, I want to be your friend. Like I'm gonna draw you a picture, or I'll draw you a picture of you.
I know that you do a lot of self portraits. So kind of
Mm.
what draws you to self portraits? Why do you like what does that mean to you?
I had a lot of dysmorphia growing up, like a lot of bullying, a lot of people making comments about my appearance. So it's been kind of my way of perceiving myself the entire time I've been alive. Because when I'm in the mirror, I'm seeing all the creases and all the things that are wrong, um, and I can't help but draw them because it's really fun. I don't really have another way of directly confronting them.
How do you think your portraits differ from drawing strangers versus drawing people that you
Hmm.
love?
I'm a little meaner to people that I love. If I'm drawing a stranger, usually I want them to give me money. Usually I'm working a caricature stand. But if it's someone that you really love, you're not afraid to depict them how they are. And if they really love you back, they'll understand why you depicted them in that way and take it as surface value. And I'm not saying I make them look ugly or anything, but there's a little bit of like a weight to how I depict the person. And it's funny, the more I get to know someone, the more I'll draw them, right? And the more I develop that shorthand for what their faces look like.
So I guess now I want to talk to you about the artistic process
Mm.
of making a portrait.
Caricatures, it's such an exploitative thing where you have to go, oh, this person's ears are funny. I can draw this person's ears funny. And so I don't know. I like to make art that makes people feel good about themselves.
Tell me about, step by step, how
Mm.
do you make a portrait, start to finish?
Like I mentioned downstairs, I usually like start with a figure, like a certain shape. But I don't know. I'm gonna start with a circle because that's how you draw like a face.
Finish.
You have to pick something. You have to pick one thing to do. That to start. Starting is the hardest thing because there's a different thing each person leads with. Just into how they present themselves on a day to day. I can look at Jules and go, okay, Jules has these you know these giant like Puss in Boots eyes. I like eyes. I think there's we're talking about kind of like the unique shapes that each person has. I feel like that's a really good place to start, or like kind of this area of the face. Then I won't draw something the way it looks entirely. So like I just kind of doodle a nose in, and I knowing that I'm like this doesn't really look like what I want the nose to look like at the end of the day. I'll draw it in anyway, and just move on from there, and I can go back and fix it later. Okay, I mean, I feel like I've gotten a pretty good basis for the face down. This is definitely Jules. Now I feel like hair is a really important part. Because again, like I feel like hair, knowing you, is part of how you express yourself. If I can communicate through line language the things that are like particular about your likeness, then even if the proportions are off, it's the specificity um, that you explore and kind of like the creases and the little notches of someone's face that really sell it, I think. The piercing by your eyebrow. I have it like no clipping through your hair at the moment. Like it's just a line that intersects because it's more important to me that people know. Like, yeah, there's a piercing there. That says something. There's a reason why that piercing's there. Like I don't believe in the idea that my dedication to the craft is to capture reality as it is. So it's both a portrait of the thing I'm trying to depict and of how I perceive it in some kind of way. I feel like this has got a lot more to do with Jules Sarton than this uncanny valley, thing that we've got going here. Not to say it's bad. The the way I organize the lines to convey what it is I'm trying to capture doesn't have to make sense to the viewer. The feeling will still be there, like the vibe. Because it's very meditative. So it's kind of tied to spirituality in some sort of way. Like, because caricatures, portraits are something that are very surface level. They're supposed to be, oh, this is what this thing looks like. But the more I can kind of like subvert the expectations of that medium to further draw a viewer to the conclusion of, oh wow, it doesn't matter what Jules looks like, it just matters like how this drawing made me feel, or like if this drawing made me feel at ease like Jules would make me feel. That's the important stuff. But yeah, you find the fine lines, I guess, and what they mean as you go, regardless of whether or not you're starting on someone's likeness or you're trying to capture their soul.
Go ahead, you can do it, man. That was so sheepish. I thought it was gonna be like jovial.
I can.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's awesome.